It's the Marc Clarke Morning Show. Healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Delicious beverage?
Duh.
It's barely morning, and somehow Marc Clarke has to wake up. Of course, Marc has a little help.
I just want to float. Will you stay forever?
Level up, 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 level up.
On the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Riding bike on Hilton Head Island. I can't wait to get on the road again. Bam! Mom's in front. Bam! Skylar's second. Spencer's third. And last but not least, the first, Sid Rock. Heading to the beach.
And welcome to the show. It's all about family. And of course, speaking of family, I got to bring on my man, Bootsy Vegas, who's joining us as he always does.
Mark, we are having some technical difficulties on your end, sir. You're talking really slow.
Really?
It's like this.
Am I slow too? And I'm slow now?
Yeah. So maybe you should log out and maybe log back in.
All right, I will do that, Bootsy, because our guest is ready to go. So I'll be right back. Bootsy, you take over.
Hey, just what this show needed. More Bootsy Vegas. Good morning. It is Bootsy Vegas, a.k.a. Mr. All Night Like the Porch Light, Marc Clarke Show. This is what this program needs. But anyway, happy Friday. A lot of information you guys will be getting today. A lot of valuable information. We're having another, what I like to call, crypto conversation, which is really needed. The more crypto conversations, the better. As we all know, the world is moving in that direction. It is becoming the currency of a lot of countries as well. The more information, the better. The other thing about cryptocurrency is it is forever changing. So it is definitely better that we had this conversation, and we probably have one of the most valuable YouTube resources on having a conversation about cryptocurrency. So
It's any better?
Excuse me?
Am I any better?
Yeah, it's really low.
What? Interesting. Okay, well, hold on. Keep on talking, Bootsy. Matter of fact, can you hear me actually talking or no?
You just sound like a computer, but maybe I should log off. So I'm gonna log off to see if it's me.
Okay, well, maybe, who knows? Okay, let's see. Well, you know what? I'm gonna bring on our guest because who knows what's going on. So Sandra, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, so it might not be. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Could it have been Bootsy's situation? All right, look. Let me get. Sandra is my crypto person, and of course my friend and family. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get our guest on. And hopefully he did not witness all of that and think that our show is not professional. The tall guy tycoon is in the building. He is a blockchain expert, software engineer. He's got thousands of followers on social media. He sold his company for $2 million. And just by being on our show, ladies and gentlemen, he has instantly added value. So I want to tell everybody, this is what we got to say.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yes. The crypto king, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not today's price.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on, tall guy?
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us, my friend.
No problem.
I got to be honest, tall guy. It was Sandra. So Sandra, who's like family, Sandra's one of those people who whatever she gets into, she gets all the way in. I met her years ago in Baltimore. She got into real estate, thousands of homes. She multi-level marketing, thousands of dollars, who knows, millions of dollars. And so she got into crypto. And also Sandra's gift is she knows how to break it down. So she really brought me into the crypto world. As a 55-year-old, I'm like a lot of people, and I know you know them, tall guy, who you see it going on. I work in news and stuff. So I do the stories, but not really know what's going on. So Sandra was able to give me baby steps and got me on. So she said, who you need to get on the show, who you have to get on the show is the tall guy. Who the hell's the tall guy? Tall guy, tycoon. She said he needs to be on the show. He breaks it down. He makes it easy to understand, but he also knows his stuff. So Bootsy's back. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, give it up for tall guy tycoon, the only millionaire who's ever been on the show. So like I said before,
yesterday's price is not today's price.
So tall guy, first of all, I was stalking you actually on social media, and who knew, Sandra, this great looking genius multimillionaire, let me tell you something. It wasn't always the case. This brother was on a goat farm coming up.
Yeah.
Tall guy had that red clay in between his toes, y'all. And I'm not talking about when he was 4 years old. I'm talking about he was in college. But I think tall guy, this speaks to how the power of a world we live in, where we mentioned this the other day. The news says people are quitting their jobs and people are blah blah blah, and they make it looks like that people are quitting their jobs with no options. You're saying, look, this whole new world, who knows where this thing, you made a great point, man. You were talking about how people made hundreds of thousands of dollars on platforms that didn't even have many followers. It was very niche. Now that the world is now becoming more aware and opening up, you see a world where people can get the bag. Bag and not even people won't even know about it. Your neighbor could be having a bag, you don't even know about it. Jerry just got a new Mercedes truck. And he worked at McDonald's. What the hell's going on? So I'm sorry, tall guy. You can see I talk a lot. The floor is yours, my friend. Welcome. Tell us about your background and tell us about you, man.
All right. So I'm what I do now is I'm a crypto expert, blockchain expert. I've won several awards. The recent one was from IBM for my work in cryptocurrency. But what I do on social media is I teach. Basically, what I do is I make people aware of the opportunities, and also, of what crypto is: investment opportunities, job opportunities, career opportunities. My main purpose is to make people aware first, and then teach them about it in a simple, straightforward way. So my background, so like I said, you're right about that. I did grow up. I grew up partially on a goat farm, and I was in a goat farm the first 2 years of college. Not first year of college. I was on a goat farm. We lived in a trailer. The trailer was on red clay mud. We like my uncle actually bought us that trailer, or not bought it for us, but we were, it was, whatever. But it was placed in the middle of red clay. And it took us about 6 months before we got everything like gravel put around it. So, and the story you're talking about is that when I used to go to school in the mornings, I used to it was okay. When it was dry outside, it was okay. It didn't bother. But when it was wet, you had to we had cinder blocks from here to the road, and you had to do hopscotch, to each one of those cinder blocks to get to the road. If you didn't, your shoes would be muddy all day. So yeah, that's how that's how I grew up in Tennessee, North Tennessee, almost on the border of Kentucky. So that's where I came from, right? So, but the thing about it is what changed my trajectory in life was the just discovery of computer science and technology, right? And when I started, when I was in college, I went for a different major, but I took one computer science class and it just sparked my interest. And I was a bad high school student. I wasn't that good at high school. I was out of 170 people, I graduated out of 190 people, I graduated 170th. So it was only 20 people worse than me, right? But it wasn't because I wasn't smart, because I just wasn't interested. I didn't care. But I did. The crazy thing is, I did good in computer class and economics class. Every other class I got D's in, So, but that was, in gym, of course. But
man, that's amazing. And it just goes to show you, man. You find your level, and you can't with our kids and stuff. A lot of times we beat them over the head, and not really watching them or listening or paying attention. And so Sandra, I wanted you to hop on real quick because you brought us to the tall guy. Tell us, what about the tall guy made you a fan? And also, hey, Sandra.
Hey, good morning.
Hey,
what made me a fan is one of my friends turned me on to him. His name is Sean. And when I watched him, he was very knowledgeable, but he also didn't play games. He let people know, I told you. And it was he tell people some things, and some people get in and some people don't. But, those people that, don't get in, they miss out. And then it's they want to be mad. And he really lets them know that, it's your fault. I told you guys, and just jumping off of crypto for a second. Thank you so much for that clip on the Google split. You had me in the middle of the night calling Charles Schwab to find out what I need to do to be a part of this Google split. But that was one of the things that, I took from his site, and seeing him, that he was very, very knowledgeable, and he did not play games, and he shared a lot of, great information, with his followers.
And so, tall guy, when did you realize that it was valuable to share the information? And, when did you make a decision, I'm going to become a thought leader? How did that come to you? Because, you're in IT making a nice check. You didn't have to share the information. No. What made you get out there?
So really the pandemic kind of, made everybody, I guess that's when all the eyes of the world were on certain people. So before that, I would get on Instagram and I'd talk about finance a little bit, but I never went live, never did anything like that. I was just talking about it. I actually got to 20, 30,000 followers just posted, but I never took it seriously because at the time in 2019, I was still a software engineer, right? I was still working. That's what I did every day. I worked for AAA, AAA, the auto club. So I was a software engineer for them, writing their apps, when you hail a taxi, when you hail a tow truck. So all that technology that does all that, we worked on that. So that's what I worked on beforehand. And around 2020 at the beginning, I started saying, hey, I'm just going to start posting this stuff, whatever. And I was posting whatever, but when the pandemic started around April or March of 2020, that's when it kind of like really took off. I would go live every day. I would talk a lot more. And what happened is the lives I had just took over, right? Took off, I mean. So I would start out with like 10 people in my lives, right, at the beginning of the pandemic. And I just kept talking. You know, I got up to 20, got up to 30, then got up to 150, then got up to 500, then got up to 1,000. The highest, I had like 5,000 people on there by the end of that. You know, so that's what really took it off. Like, and I was talking about stocks. Mostly I was talking about tech stocks, you know, because that Zoom and all those stocks were blowing up during that time. And I was right like almost 95% of the time, 2020, 2021. And so I always was in the crypto world. I always spoke in the crypto world. I always, you know, had speaking engagements overseas or whatever, but it wasn't really like that. It was mostly technical stuff. But during the pandemic really set me up to be, I guess, more of a thought leader, right? So then right in about 3 months in, you know, I quit my job and I just started doing this full time.
And so, tall guy, you know, it's interesting. So money is all relative, right?
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of times, you know, I mean, basically, you know, I said you sold your company for $2 million. Who knows? That just was online. Who knows how that
true.
goes? It's true. And so talk to us about that space where, you know, you got a few dollars in the bank and now you're in the crypto game. Because I have a lot of friends who are professionals who are really excited about crypto. Sandra's one of them. And they see the opportunities, right? Then there's people like me, Bootsy, probably me and Bootsy, and where if our toe might be in a little bit, we don't, you know, we haven't put a lot in, but we're just kind of watching the game. So tell us first, how does it feel to have a few bucks when you're in a new technology that could really give you a whole bunch more money? And then what do you say to those people who are kind of hesitant to hop in, who aren't necessarily believers all the way?
Yeah, so I would just tell you is that I had a high-paying job anyway, well into the six figures as a software engineer, right? And first I want to tell you the story about how I sold that company because I think it's important for people to hear this. So 2016, I realized I've been in crypto since 2011, but the crypto goes in cycles, right? So it's a boom and a bust, a boom and a bust. The first boom was in 2011, 12. It burst in 2013. The next boom came in 16. Right. But I experienced that first boom. So I knew the second boom. I realized that while I was in the middle of it. So we built a company, the one that I sold. I invested in crypto and I made a bunch of money during that cycle. Right. But then I sold the company at the peak and then, you know, it burst. Right. So I had, you know, $2 million in the bank, you know, taxes or whatever. They got to take that out. So at that time, right, remember this was 2017. Right. I sold that company into 2017. And remember what I told you is I quit my job in 19. And people say, well, why did you do that? I mean, you just got too much. Why did you keep the job? Well, first of all, it was a high paying job. Second of all, is that it wasn't the right time. Too many people get, you know, windfalls or large sums of money and they quit their job, whatever. That's counterproductive, right? What I did is I took that money, I paid off my house to create a backstop. So, you know, anything that happens, I could always get back to my house, right? So I paid off the house. So I paid off my student loans. And I took the rest of the money and it took me about a year to put it into the right investments. Crypto, I put some in stocks, I put some in other things, some real estate. It took about a year and a half for that to happen. So it wasn't the time. A lot of times we get money, we act quickly and then make mistakes to end up back where we started at in 4 or 5 years. So I made sure I got the money to the right investments. I got into the right places. And then when the time was right, I quit. Right. But it took about 2 years for that to happen, you know.
Wow.
So, like I said, is that, and back to the second question you had, is that with crypto, the space is so new. It's so new right now. And remember, it's only been out since 2009, right? So that's about 12 years. That's Bitcoin. Now, something like Ethereum's only been out since 15. That's only 7 years. Other coins and tokens only been out like 3 years. So it's so easy to be an expert in any of these, right? Is that because it's only so many people? It's only like the most experience you could have with Ethereum is probably about 5 years, even if you started from the beginning. So there's not a lot of experts in this field. So anybody with enough passion and enough persistence and wants to work hard can get into this and make money. And it's a wide open field. And sometimes it gets me kind of mad because people just don't they don't listen, right? So, I mean, anybody can get into this and make money. And it's like so many people just sit back and not, all you got to do is go buy some books, go on YouTube and spend the next 6 months and immerse yourself in it. In 6 months, you're a consultant. And you're a legit consultant that can make $200 to $300 an hour.
Wow. And so, Bootsy, you had a question?
No. I mean, I'm just learning and listening. I don't have a question right now. And I don't want to stop this man while he's on this momentum train.
So Tycoon, talk to us. Ty, talk to us about, like you said, the traditional stock market and crypto. And then also after that, we got to hop into the metaverse because I watched your piece on the metaverse. And again, like Sandra said, what I loved about you, man, and I just discovered you, thanks to Sandra, was you made it make sense. When you talk about an economy, the way you described an economy. But first, let's talk about stocks, the traditional stock market versus crypto, and then maybe hop into the possibilities of the metaverse.
All right, so you got the stock market, right? Is a place where we purchase companies, right? So, but basically, what you're doing is you're buying every stock represents a piece of a company. So, as the value of that company goes up, your stock price should go up in ideal cases. So with crypto, what you're doing is you're buying a piece of a coin or currency. Crypto is more like Forex, right? Currency exchanges. And a stock market is buying pieces of companies. So, and there's a bunch of differences. With crypto is a newer market. So the stock market's been around over 100 years. The government regulates the stock market, right? So that's the reason, if it wasn't for government regulation, the stock market would be just as volatile as crypto. Like a lot of people get afraid of crypto because it's so volatile. Like you wake up in the morning, it's down 20%. You go up in the next day, it's up 10%. It's very volatile market. It scares a lot of people. But that's actually a real market. The reason why the stock market isn't that volatile is because the government has regulations on it. So if the stock market, if a particular stock or the market, overall market drops a certain percentage, they do what's called a circuit breaker. They stop trading until everybody settles down. And they do it both ways. It can't go up too fast, can't go down too fast. So it stops the volatility. That's the only reason why the stock market don't go up and down like that. Now, the crypto is not regulated, so it doesn't have those circuit breakers and things like that. So it's a true market. It's up 20%, down 20%, up 20%. That's just how it is. But that volatility a lot of people are afraid of that, but you shouldn't be afraid of it because that's where the money is to be made. It's because you just have to understand the market and invest in it the correct way and just understand that risk is part of the game because where there's risk, there's reward, and invest in it smartly.
Interesting. That's what Sandra, that's one of your techniques you were showing me, and you were talking about that as far as you showed me how you make your money. Sandra, talk about that, before Tall Guy goes to the next segment about, some of your strategies and one of the things that you've learned in this kind of volatile market that you're excited about, though.
One of the things that I usually do is, I do a lot of research on the coins that I want to, invest in. Because I started out doing day trading on, just regular stock market, 9:30 to 4. Every Monday through Friday, but crypto was pretty much 24 hours, and I'm a 24-hour gal. So for the most part, what I like to do is do research on the coins and find out what's going on with these coins. I like to get them when they're pretty low. I do invest in some coins that are already, over $5 or $10, depending on where they're going. And you can tell by who is already accepting these coins and different things. And I know Tycoon really knows about like how Elon Musk will tweet something and the stocks go skyrocket, in a matter of a couple of seconds. But for the most part, I like to find some that I'm comfortable with, that I can hold, that I can put maybe a few $100 or $1,000 in and just let it sit and watch it, And that's how I've really been making money and getting into them early on when a lot of the coins are, not even $1 yet, not even a penny, not even half of a penny.
And so, tall guy, and so and because of that, I think the one that you turned me on to, Sandra, what's that? Tonic.
Tonic, yes.
And so when something comes out the gate like that, tall guy, so it was crazy. It was like it went up to like 48%. It was crazy. Now I'm thinking that still like 24% up. Do you, when something like that, this explosive, do you hold on, or do you hop off, or do you combine it with, or is that typical?
So there's a couple of strategies for that, right? Is that and that's what I teach my people, my followers, is that when let's say I put in $100 into something, right? It goes up 4 times, right? So the smart strategy is to take out your original investment, right? Because then at that point you can't lose. Because the original investment is safe, right? So let the other, like, let's say, for example, I put 100, goes up 400, take out 100%, leave the 300 in and let it go, to wherever I want to go, right? So that means that at that point, everything's safe. There's no tax problem to taking out your original investment, let the rest run. And it protects you against any crazy thing that could happen in the future. Now, what a lot of people do is they leave it all in because they want that last 100 to also grow. Because they're like, man, it's going to go up. But then what happens is that it can also go down. Right. And another strategy is that whenever something goes up that much, I mean, you have to take some off the table, because this is why people get in trouble with investing in stocks, whatever, real estate, whatever, is that a lot of times people, they only have their focus on how much I can make. How much can I make? How much am I going to make? They don't remember it's half of the equation is how much can I lose? So you have to protect your gains like relentlessly. You have to constantly, like I always tell people, have one eye on profit, one eye on risk. It's 50-50 game. You have to protect the one part of the game is protecting your gains. Right. If something goes up that much, and people say, well, I put $100 in and went to 500, but it went all the way back down to 150, and I sold, so I'm still up. But the thing about it is that at any given point, whatever the money says in your wallet, that's your money. Right. That it doesn't matter. People think it's not really theirs because just on paper. Nah, because if you could have sold it, it was your money and you lost it. That's right. So you have to see it like that. Right. You have to see it like that.
I'm glad that you said that, because, I have the same strategy that you do. Once I make what I put in, I pull it out and let the rest sit. And one of my friends, dear to my heart, I love him to death, he always said, you pull out too quick. It's not about pulling out too quick. It's you got to make some money and put your money to the side and let the other money, work for you. And you don't have to worry about it. If it goes, it goes. But you haven't lost a dime. Right.
That's the thing about it. It doesn't matter where, like I always use this analogy. I'm like, okay, so the market always, both crypto and stock generate money every day. Every day as a stock goes up 50%. Every day as a stock, crypto that goes up 80%. Every single day, right? So it's like I kind of use the analogy of a water fountain, right? So you got a water fountain. So let's say it's a line of people, right? So the first person gets some water, he walks off. The second person gets water, he walks off. Now it's my turn to get water. Because I understand that water is plentiful, that I can always come back to this fountain, that I can always get a drink. I just get a little bit and I go on about my day. I don't come to the water fountain with buckets trying to fill them up because I'm scared I'm not going to get any the next day, right? It's the same thing with the market, right? Is that I can buy a stock, goes up a little bit, I sell and walk away. Now, why am I trying to get all the money I possibly can out of this stock of crypto? Because if I understand that money is plentiful, like that water is plentiful, then I'll come back the next day and get some more.
Come on,
it doesn't
Tycoon.
matter.
You preaching, Tycoon, you preaching.
That's it. Look, law of attraction.
Reverend Tall Guy is his name. Reverend Tall Guy.
So like I said, it doesn't matter. I could come back every day, get a little bit going, because I'm not gonna fill up all these buckets and stuff because I know it's plentiful. So that's the thing we got to understand, is that the stock market and the crypto and all markets, money's plentiful. We don't have to get every dollar we can out of every trade. Get a little bit, make your profit, move on to the next day.
So Tycoon, I was listening to you today about the metaverse, and I love how you approached it, because it's almost like you're approaching, this. You were like, the meta, you talked about the opportunities that are coming in the metaverse, but you said, hey, if it works, blah, blah, blah. If it doesn't, blah, blah, blah. And I love that because there's a lot of uncertainty, right? And you mentioned, and I didn't even know that about, before you were talking about the nerds and different platforms that people made hundreds of thousands of dollars, annually, and nobody even knew about it. In fact, very few people had computers fast enough to participate.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the possibilities. Tell us what the metaverse is, because I think people still don't understand. And then tell us the possibilities of not just making money, but opportunities in the metaverse. Because I don't know if you know, as a former engineer, did you ever go to BEA, the Black Engineer of the Year conference? I don't know if you ever went to BEA. Well, Tyrone Taborn, Dr. Taborn, he has BEA. And so, every year he has, I think NESB and BEA are the two Black engineer conferences. So he's all in, and he has a new metaverse called STEM City USA. And he's so excited. I sent your episode to him because he's been saying what you're saying, and he actually has a metaverse talking about the opportunity. So tell us what the metaverse is and the opportunities that are coming, and then maybe about even because when you explained it that way, it made sense as far as an economy. So whatever you want to call it that you're exchanging in this economy, that's a whole opportunity. So tell us those things.
So the metaverse is just it's an interactive 3D world where people live and play. And you have to access it through a headset or through do VR or AR, so that you're immersed into this world. That's what the metaverse is, right? Mm-hmm. So the way it works is that anything that we do in the real world is going to exist in the metaverse. And a lot of people hear this concept and they're like, man, that's not going to work. That's so stupid. Cartoons walking around and stuff. But you have to understand there's about 3 reasons why it's not going to, like, let's say we go back to 1988 and I tell you, hey, man, there's this internet thing coming out, but hey, you have to you can't type in a web address. You got to type the number at the top. Because remember, that's how you access web pages at the beginning. You had to type the IP address, 168.1.2. You had to know the IP addresses by heart. Wow. There was no Google, so you had to just know them, right? And then secondly is that, remember, I don't know, you guys may not remember, but you had to have a phone that was like a regular phone, and you had to put it on top of a router, and then you have to dial in. And it was like that. It was difficult. Only a techie could actually do it, right? But if I went back and told, hey, man, invest money in this thing, it's going to blow up, nobody would have believed it. Come on, man, nobody's going to, because people see the world as it is right now. And they say, as it is now, it's not going to work. Of course. But you have to be able to see what's coming. The innovations, the improvements, the technology advancements that's coming in the future, and it's gonna work alongside it and make it better than what it is, make it easier, more accessible, and more easily understandable to the average person. The same thing's gonna happen to the metaverse. Right? So right now, I mean, to be honest, who's gonna walk around? You ever seen the graphics? It's cartoony graphics and all this. Nobody's gonna actually do that now. But it's 3 reasons why it will eventually take off. And one is that we're all like, over 30, obviously. So we're all over 30, right? So people that are 30, 40, 50, we probably not going to actually live and work and play in this world, right? To be honest. But if you look at the kids right now, the kids are playing the Roblox, Minecraft, these types of games. They play them all day. I have no idea what my kids spend all day building stuff in Roblox. It doesn't even make sense to me, but they do it and they love it, Right. So they're growing up in this world already. So by the time they reach of age, 20, 25, they've already spent most of their lives in these metaverse worlds. Right. So they're the ones that's going to inherit the earth. They're the ones that's going to be using this, right? So that's what you got to understand. 1. 2 is that the graphics that exist now that are cartoony, they're going to get better. The process is going to get better. The systems, the computer system's going to get better. The speeds are going to get faster. So eventually it'll be photorealistic. And that means it's like looking at a picture, like we look around. This is realistic graphics around us, right? So it's going to look just like this eventually with enough time. So now you take that. And third thing is that this is going to scare people. I know people that are listening are probably going to be scared when they hear this, but technology is scary until it actually exists, Right. So it's machine to brain connection. I put a headset on, it connects to my brain through my skull, and all my 5 senses are now in the metaverse. The sense of smell, sense of sight, sense of taste, Just a touch. It's all hearing is actually in there. Now think about that. Everything's photorealistic. All 5 senses are there. And the kids that are already growing up in this now are inheriting this new world. Now it makes sense now.
It's and so that's funny. It.
It's so funny. When I was in high school, I took this to avoid real science. I took a class in environmental science taught by a former used car salesman who had the white shoes and the plaid outfits and everything, right? And so back then, I'm older than you guys. The digital, the calculators and the digital watch were out, right? And they were super expensive, right? He said, one day, they're going to be giving away these calculators. They're going to be giving away these digital watches. He said, one day, there's something called virtual reality. He said, they're going to cut your head off and hook it up to a computer. There's going to be a guy that cuts heads off and hooks it up to a computer, and you have virtual reality, and you live your life like that. Now, first of all, the funny part was he was right. But who was the one guy who was cutting heads off? That was the part. It was the part. But like you said, it seemed far-fetched. I mentioned Tyrone Taborn. When I had the show on the radio show, he introduced me to Mark Dean, who was on the team that IBM created the first laptop, and he was on that team. And so we asked Mark Dean, and this was 20 years ago. I said, "What are you working on next?" He said, "You see your phone? I'm working on. It's going to be a tablet that has the same capabilities as a computer." And we were like, "Oh, okay, that's an interesting idea. I don't know if that will work or not." But so I'm sorry, Sandra, you had a question for Tycoon?
Oh no, I was going to say, basically, you have to be able to see ahead of the game. You can't just think about what's going on right now today. You got to look at the future. You don't have to be into the games to make money from the games.
Exactly.
If you see that, if you look at some of these gaming cryptos, I don't play no video games. I don't know anything about video games. The last video game I played was Atari. But when But when you look at these gaming cryptos, I mean, they all the way up to like some of them $1,000 a share. Yeah. So that's right there. You just have to be able to get out of the day and pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on in the future.
So I have a question.
People buying real estate on these platforms.
That's what the Tycoon was talking about that just this morning. I was listening to that Metaverse and talking about and it's so interesting. And Bootsy, we'll come back to your question. And Tycoon, the thing that I think you explained well from the Metaverse standpoint, and what Sandra said about buying real estate, you were talking about at the end of the day an economy. Spawn is talking about how the kids are playing the games. And there's a crypto that they use inside the game. And so, Tycoon, that's what you're talking about, right? The metaverse, basically, there'll be whatever metaverse you're in will have a system of payment, an economy. And that's what kind of I think that starts to make people understand it even more. So tell us about that, what Sandra said about the real estate piece and the economy inside the metaverse. And there'll be many of them, right?
Yeah. So remember, I just want to make a point that there's not one singular metaverse. There's several companies working on their own versions. So, but eventually with enough time, they'll probably all merge together eventually. And this is very common in technology, is that a lot of times companies compete early on, and then eventually they figure out, well, it's cheaper just to all join up together. It happens like if you go back to the beginning of like at-home video, you had Betamax, you had VHS. Two competing technology. Eventually, one goes away, eventually one will take over. They all join together. Like you go back to the cell phone networks back in the early 2000s. I mean, remember, you only could text people in your network at first. Remember, because everybody had completely separate networks.
Right.
Then eventually they figured out, well, it's cheaper for us just to share cell phone towers, share resources, and just all go together. And everything got united. It happens back in the early days of the internet. They had different, like AOL had their own universe web, but eventually it all went away. So it happens. It happens in technology often, is that there's competing technologies and standards, and then it all comes into one. So the metaverse will probably eventually one metaverse will be the main one, or they will all just unite together, right? So so that's one point. Well, I forgot what the question was. Sorry.
The real estate, and I'm sorry, the real estate, and then also talk about the job opportunities that will come up. Somebody said, again, Spawn said cybersecurity is going to be big. So
Yeah,
the
okay.
jobs in the metaverse, and then when you talk about real estate in the metaverse.
Okay, so real estate in the metaverse is just like traditional real estate. It's almost governed by the same laws. It's proximity to certain areas. That makes each piece of land valuable and not valuable, right? So the good thing about let's go back to the Second Life. Second Life, and I encourage people to watch this. If you go to Netflix, there's a documentary called Life 2.0. Life, Life 2.0. And it's and I like that it's an older movie or documentary. It's about 10, 12 years old. And it talks about a version of the metaverse that existed in like 2008, 2007. And it chronicles the life of like 2 or 3 people. One particular story I would encourage you guys look this up. It's an African American woman, and she was making several hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in that metaverse, right? What she was doing is she was selling digital clothes. She was selling houses, like already made houses. So you could just buy and you're living there. She was selling boots, clothes, shirts, all this stuff. And she had her own brand in there. And her brand was very popular and people liked it. And this was back in the days, like you said, Mark, is that people didn't even have a computer. You had to have an expensive computer just to run these graphics. And she was making hundreds of thousands of dollars back then. Well, one of the biggest problems she had was that she would make clothes and then somebody would come along and just steal it from her and then, and just copy it. Well, back then there was no safeguards against that. You could just steal people's work, right? Creative work, digital work. And she actually and the whole thing talks about how she went and got a lawyer and she had to sue this person to stop him from selling it. And she ended up losing a bunch of money. Imagine you making $200,000 a year and all of a sudden wake up and somebody stole all your stuff. It's all over the world now. You're not making any money. Well, the good thing about it is that in the new metaverse, there's something called NFTs, right? The NFT is an instrument, I should say, for protecting digital work. So you can't copy it like that. Most people understand NFTs as pictures and profile picture stuff, but it's a lot deeper than that. What the NFT process does is it stops people from copying digital work. It proves ownership, undoubtedly, on the blockchain, so nobody can steal your work, right? And shows you have ownership to this particular piece of digital artwork. So now that NFT, it would stop that from happening. She would have continued to make her money back then. So now there's actually a better platform for people to get on and make these digital items and make a lot of money doing so, right? It's not hard to do. It's like the thing about it is not a lot of competition now. So whoever are the first movers in this space are going to make all the money. And like if somebody listening, all you have to do really is just learn and be willing to go on YouTube and take a few courses and just study every weekend until you understand it. That's all you have to do.
Tycoon, you just broke it down. Sandra is an amazing artist, and we were trying to crack the code, but I think you made it so simple to understand. What you're saying is, so Sandra, who already has all this artwork, right? You're saying what the non-fungible token does is say this piece of artwork belongs to Sandra and nobody else can own it. So if you want to own it or buy a piece of it, you can, and I will send you the receipt of ownership. So that's really what it is, right? It's basically,
that's what it is.
So Sandra, there it is. The Tycoon solved the riddle. We're trying to reach out to people, but that's it. And so again, man, your gift is to break it down and make sense.
Thank you.
Bootsy, you had a question.
Yes. So first of all, this is amazing information. I almost feel like I shouldn't even be talking, but I want to speak for the average listener who is just learning this for the first time, kind of like me. My question with you to be is, where do you predict this cryptocurrency going in the next 3 years? And if I'm a new person, what would be the first 3 things cryptocurrency you think I will be smart to invest in if I started today? And that's for the listener who's listening right now, who's getting all this information, trying to take it in like me.
Okay, so where cryptocurrency as a whole is going?
Yeah, like what do you predict for the future of cryptocurrency? I know it's a whole bunch of regulations. There's so many disparate stories. You get good things, bad things, or whatever. But as an expert, I would love to know what your prediction is. And if I wanted to get started today, what would be the first 2 to 3 things I should do if I want to start immediately when this broadcast is over?
All right, so let's talk about where crypto is more than likely going over the next 3 years. Is that so? Right now, like I like what you said. You said people don't understand it. They don't get it. They kind of like you know what else is complicated is the monetary system, the regular monetary system we got. But we don't have to understand it because the banks and everything take care of everything for us. All we got to do is know how to spend it, right? Because there's a structure. There's technology. There's all this stuff that happens on the back end that we don't have to see. So that's because our system is mature, right? So the average person can spend dollars without having to understand, the Federal Reserve and all this stuff. The same thing is going to happen with crypto, right? Is that crypto is a very, advanced technology. So a lot of people, because it's so new, the only way we can access it is on a lower technology level. So it's hard. It seems like it's hard. Like we got to know how wallets work and all this stuff. And like this, I don't know, this crypto and tokens and stuff, it seems difficult. But over time, what happens is that technology is going to build up. Another layer is going to come. It's going to take that over from us. It's going to be abstracted from us, right? Then another layer comes. Because pretty soon all we got to do is know how to spend the token. Like it'll be a wallet like on our thing. We don't have to understand how all that other stuff works because it's going to all the banks and all the institutions and the companies will take care of that for us. That's where it's going to go eventually. Now, when regulation is going to come, so the thing about it is that this is the scary thing. This is why the people who get into it early enough are going to be rewarded heavily, because eventually, with enough time, it won't move as much. It'll be stable. It'll be you may see 3-4% a year, maybe up and down. Maybe that's where cryptocurrency to be actually used as a currency has to get to that point. Nobody wants that salary in Bitcoin. It's going to go up 30-40% every other month. Nobody's going to take it. It's just too volatile. So once the volatility goes away and regulation and, and all these systems are going to put in place to stop that and derivatives and all that stuff, it's going to cause it to be stable. And that's where the true power of crypto is going to come out, when it's stable. But people who didn't get in early enough aren't going to benefit from 3-4% a year. I mean, it's still good, but it's not like now. So I encourage people to look into this before it's too late.
And so we got... I'm sorry.
I guess my next question would be, if I wanted to start today, from a professional assessment, what would be the best ones to invest in right now today if I wanted to start?
So I would always say start with education and learn before you do anything. You have to know what you're doing. If you feel like if you're listening to this and you feel like I got to do something now, whenever you feel like I got to rush into an investment, it's a bad decision. Okay. You should never rush into any investment. If you feel like you got to rush, you're probably in at the wrong cycle and you're going to lose money anyway because it's FOMO setting in. So you always want to take your time in any investment, right? So learn a little bit, grow, make sure you understand a little bit and then buy it. Now, the ones I think are going to do well, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there's 2 other, XRP, I think after their lawsuit's over, they're going to do extremely well. And the other one it's a one called Phantom out there that I think is going to do good.
Right.
That's more of a high risk one, but the reward is so high, it's worth it. So those are the 4 I would say. I would say Bitcoin, Ethereum, Phantom, and XRP. And IOTA's one too. But that's harder to get into.
Tycoon is handing them out, y'all. This is the drill. So look, Katana and Mason Dixon asked Tycoon, so Second Life has its own economy run by Tilla. How would this combos work like Roblox? So Second Life has its own currency run by Tilla. How would this combo work? I don't understand that question. I don't understand it.
I mean, can you Katana? Can you restate that? I don't understand the question.
Rondi says Fortnite gaming economy, his son has spent at least $500 in this game, and so that's not atypical, right, Tycoon? A lot of the kids.
Yeah. My son, he asked for Roblox gift cards for holidays and Christmas. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, my son did too.
And the funny part about being a parent, because I remember when this is the game when they just robbing you and robbing you and taking all your stuff. What I realized
Grand Theft Auto,
prostitutes, drugs, robbing people. And what I realized about sometimes as a parent, you have no idea what your kid's doing and you fund it, because I remember I was at somebody's house and they were just giving their kids the Grand Theft Auto, blah, blah, blah. And my mom like, do you know what that game is? They have no idea. Like you said, so, mommy gonna have $500. So it's very interesting. These kids are out there spending money and doing things that you may not be aware of. So parents, it might not be a bad idea to have them break some stuff down because they're kids and they can break it down. And a lot of times, because when they talk to you, you don't listen, they just give up. They go, okay, never mind. But so Katana, come back with that question. Okay, she's gonna come back with that question. Sandra, go ahead. I know you got. So now we can get into for the crypto heads. We got the man in the building. We got to take advantage. So Sandra, any questions crypto wise that you want to? And then in the chat, anybody have questions for the tycoon? Let's get the tall guy popping because he came in and like I said, for all those, he's here.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
We got millionaires coming to the show now. So Sandra, what do you have? What do you have for the tycoon?
I've been trying to get Ripple for like 6 months. How can I get Ripple?
Are you in New York?
No, I'm here in North Carolina.
Oh, you can get it through Uphold.
Uphold, okay.
Yeah, it's an app and a site. You can get it through Uphold. In New York, it's harder.
What is Uphold for people who don't know?
Uphold is a cryptocurrency exchange where you can buy certain cryptos.
Okay.
What happened with XRP is that they had a lawsuit. The U.S. government is suing them for. They're trying to prove that they're security. Securities are. That's the thing about it is that people say crypto is not regulated, but securities are regulated.
Right.
So the government's trying to tell XRP that you're not a crypto. You're actually a security. So if we can prove that you're a security, you are under our regulation. That's what the lawsuit's about, right? So.
No, we're not. Yeah, yes, you are.
Yeah, if you, like I tell people, like people always say, well, crypto is not regulated, but shovels aren't regulated either, right? But if I kill somebody with a shovel, I mean, the murder is regulated. So if I use crypto to do something that's illegal, it's still illegal.
Right.
So Katana's back, Typhoon. There's a huge economy in Second Life and Roblox. Where's the economy? Will the combine?
They could eventually, but it'd be a long time before that happens. They could combine, but it would, like I said, it would take 10, 20 years probably before something like that happened. Because I would think that the problem with combining is that the tech companies that create their own economies actually make money off of their own economies, right? Because let's say, for example, let's say I create a metaverse today and I call some like tall guy tycoon coin or something, right? So let's say I minted like 100,000 coins, right? So I would keep 20,000 to myself and I would sell the first 80,000, right? So the 80,000 gets up there. As the price goes up, what happens to the 20,000 I got? They go up in value. So because I created that economy and I kept some for myself, I benefit as the price goes up. But if we combine them all, I no longer have that power. So of course I wouldn't want that to happen. So it would have to be a real big reason for me to, combine the economies, which it could happen in the future. But like I said, it'd be a while before that happens.
And so at the end of the day, and we're going to let you go, Tycoon. At the end of the day, like you said, I think that so simply put, if we did have a tall guy tycoon metaverse, and you create an economy, what gives it value is basically it's like those who want to buy stuff inside your economy, right? And so that's what makes the value. And so that's in simplistic forms. That's what this whole thing is. That's what crypto is, right? Instead of the government saying this is worth $1, it's the internal worlds and the people who buy it deciding the value, right? And so that's it.
And that's one reason why the government really doesn't like crypto, because they have their own metaverse, right? The US, they can create their money, they can set the values, whatever they want. And then you see what I'm saying? So what if cryptocurrency takes that power over? They don't have that power no more. So of course they don't want that to happen. They want to retain the power to create money, to issue new money, and to set their initial value. So I mean, they're not going to. There's going to be a fight with the government eventually over this. It's already starting. They're not going to want this to proliferate all the way through the economy.
As a conspiracy theory guy, I always felt that way. Like I almost felt like it's too much power to the people because, to be honest, we won't get into that, but that's what the whole game is. You know what I mean? The power piece, we get, race is used to separate us, but it's really about what power, right? And so if people get their own power, then it's like, wait a minute. And so, okay, Lynn says, I saw Guap coin was a POC coin. What is the Lolo on it? Are you familiar with the Guap coin?
No, I've heard that before, but I mean, I've never really looked into it. I don't know enough about it to speak on it, but I've just heard of it in passing. I know it was created in the last 2 years, though. I know.
Okay. And she said Black Ops and Sim City started this craze. Okay. And I guess we're going to see that too, right, Typhoon? Everybody is going to, it's kind of like what's happening in media. Everybody having their own channel, everybody having their own world. It's kind of like that's where we are. And I guess I love what you said earlier about us who are over 30. Like we may not be around for this world, but it's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Sandra, what you said about it was classic. You may not be around, but you can still get paid off of it.
And that's right, because the money is made on the way up.
Right.
So a lot of people are sitting right now, 70 years old, millionaires off the .com boom. They're not really participating in what we're doing now.
Right.
80 years old, 75 years old, but they made it in the 90s, early 2000s.
Lynn wanted to know, can she get Shiba in New York? Yeah, Lynn, you can get it on crypto.com, I think, right? Shiba's available, right, guys?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is.
Well, Sandra knows that one. Sandra sent me her list. She sent me a list. So Shiba's on. It's crypto, right, Sandra?
Crypto.com is on Coinbase. It's on the major platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Gemini.
Talk like that before you go. If I wanted to get started today, what would be the best app for me to get started with in buying, sharing, and learning the information for somebody like me who does not know?
First thing I would do is follow me on Instagram, Tall Guy Tycoon, or
100.
YouTube. I teach you about this stuff every day. Second is that Coinbase is a good way to start. Coinbase is another one called Gemini. Those two, I think, are good places to start. They have a lot of the major coins on there between the two of them. Mm-hmm. And there's a site, I would say, it's called Bitcoin.com. Mm-hmm. And that site talks about crypto and the news, everything, every day. The news that sometimes doesn't make the mainstream media makes it there about crypto. So I would follow that and make sure, you just follow the news, because you can learn a lot. If you just read the crypto news every morning, like a few articles, maybe when you just wake up or you're waiting for a train or something, you can learn a lot about crypto, just understanding what's happening and what's happening around you. Like with the XRP lawsuit, you understand the technology behind it stuff, because you have to understand what they're fighting over. So just reading articles, listen to a few people on Instagram, and watch a few videos, you can learn a ridiculous amount within a few months.
Besides you, who should I listen to then? So who should I listen to?
There's another guy out there that talks a lot about metaverse. He's 19 Keys.
Okay.
And
he
then
talks a lot about it too.
You got Sandra. Sandra about to launch hers. We're
I know about it.
Next week.
I'm calling her
next week. Hey, so
I'm calling her today. I'm sorry.
So, Tall Guy, what's your thought on staking and returns? That'll be the last question.
That's another big thing, right? Is that let me tell you how much time we got.
Go ahead, brother. It's your
as long
show.
as you want.
So I'm gonna tell you the power that crypto has, right? I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing. What I'm in the process of doing right now is that, and I talked about this last night on my live, but I'm gonna just say it again. So I want to buy. I got a 18 Escalade, and I want to get to 22 Escalade, right? So I gotta, you gotta pay for it, right? So there's three ways I could pay for it, right? The first way is I could take money out of my business account, the $100,000 or whatever it costs, and I pay for the car, right? So now think about what happens in that case. So, and this is all about having the right mindset. So I take that $100,000 out of my business account, put it into my personal account, and buy the Escalade. Now, when next year comes around, I got to pay taxes now because I just received $100,000. So I got to pay 30% of that or whatever. $30,000 goes to the government. So, and I'll use, I can pay for the car. So that's a big tax cut, right? So the second way is that I could take out a loan. So I take out a loan, and I'm gonna have to pay $1,600 a month plus a down payment probably, and it's an interest on that money. So I'm gonna pay more than $100,000 at the end of the term. The third way is I can use what's called a crypto-backed loan. which exists. And look, the second way I got to get a credit check. I got to check my salary, make sure I'm able to pay this money, regardless of what I have, collateral, whatever. They still gonna want to know, make sure I can pay it. The third way is I could do what's called a crypto-backed loan. Now, all that requires is that I deposit an amount of crypto into a wallet. The next day, I get a cash loan in my bank account based on the collateral of the crypto.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on, Titus. Hold on now. So you say you deposit into the wallet.
Yes.
Like so the total amount, so it would be like
it'd be twice as much.
So $200,000 worth of crypto.
Yeah.
In your wallet.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
50% loan, right? But the good thing about this loan is that it's only 1%. And the other good thing is that it's an interest-only loan. So with the second option, when I had to take out that loan with the whatever, the car lot or the bank or whatever, I have to pay the principal and the interest every month, $1,600 a month, right? But with the third way, I only got to do is pay $80 a month because I'm only paying the interest. And at the end of the 3 years, let's say the crypto just triples, right? So they take the money out of the crypto, and I get the remainder back. So over the 3 years of paying off this car, I have to pay $80 a month, the interest on the loan. End of the term, let's say Bitcoin's at 100,000 by then. So that means that they just take out the money that I owe them and they give me the rest back.
So see that now my conspiracy tycoon is scared because so why in the hell would you ever go to a bank ever again when you do that?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Now,
eventually.
How would you where could you do this? Where can this process happen?
Celsius is one big one. BlockFi is another one.
Okay.
Block what?
BlockFi.
BlockFi.
But the thing about that is that when I took the loan out, I didn't have to pay taxes on it. If you sell your crypto to do it, you got to pay taxes. If I don't have to pay taxes on a loan.
Wow. See, this is why. See, the thing the tall guy don't talk about. He's a genius. That's the
right.
That's the damn problem. Rodney says any Etherscan tips.
No, I don't know. I mean, Etherscan is the blockchain viewer for Ethereum. I don't know what they're asking.
Okay.
Is that what he's talking about? The Etherscan, where you can search the blockchain?
Restate, Rondi, because again, I have no idea what we're talking about right now. All I know is I'm writing. Hey, let me tell you something. Spawn, I didn't know you would see, and it's so cool, tall guy. You see different friends that you didn't know who are into it, and it doesn't come up in conversation. And then you're like, wait a minute, what? I didn't know you were studying this for the last 5 years. Spawn, one of the coldest DJs in Atlanta, and probably a millionaire because of this Bitcoin. So Rondi says yes, USES. I don't know about that question. Etherscan.
I don't know what that question is.
Yeah. Okay, Sandra got another guru. All right, look, man. Tall guy, man, you've been a blessing, bruh. Man, you're a blessing, man. And thank you for coming on our little platform. One day we're gonna be, big like you, but at the end of the day, you keep it real. We'll follow Tall Guy at Tall Guy Tycoon. Okay.
Thank you for coming on.
Any parting words, tall guy, for us? Any parting encouraging words?
I would just say, man, just make sure your mindset is right. I do have a book coming out. It comes out.
Here we go.
In May, so I'm working on that.
Well, promise that you'll come back, my brother.
Yeah, I'll be back. Just let me know.
What's the name of the book?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
No name.
That's the name of the book? That's the name?
But it is going to be, the basis of the book is 7 Principles to Wealth Building. So I don't know what the title is going to be yet.
And also, Sandra's got a book coming out. Sandra just got a brand new book. Sandra, we're going to get you on to talk about your brand new book. And you need to do something with Tall Guy. You actually do something together. You know what I'm saying?
Should.
But because it's funny, like I said, Sandra has so many followers, people who kind of rely on her, and you kind of created the same thing. You created yours on the platform, a Tall Guy, and it's interesting, man. The do you, as a tech person, you know, and I mentioned Beya, B-E-Y-A, which actually it's next weekend, Thursday through Saturday. I'll send you some information, tall guy, because you'd be a great guest. Because again, Beya it's basically it's be all you are, but it really was Black Engineer of the Year award. That's what started it, right? And so I hosted for the last 15, 20 years the segment with over 500 HBCU students who majored in STEM. And they have, you know, they have a job fair that hires all of them. And I just thought about them because they're you know, they kind of have that same background you had, kids who excelled in science and math and stuff. And so that world, man, it really changed your life. How was it just a knack? When we talk about science and math, you said you were good at that. Was it because you had your interest? What, you know, because I'm always just curious about people like you. Was it just a knack, the numbers thing?
I don't know. Like I'll tell you, like I've always been interested in computers. I don't know what it was. It just I was always just interested in technology. It was ever since I can remember. But I would read. I mean, we didn't have a computer in my house till I was 19. So, but I used to. But we did have like a TI-85 calculator. That was a calculator you could program on. I used to program that when I was 15. I used to have books. My mom, she could afford computer science books and magazines, so she would get those for me, Popular Mechanics, stuff like that. So we had those in the house. So I was always like interested in it. You know, I don't know what it was. I just had an interest in it. I wasn't interested in nothing else either. That's the reason why I didn't do well in high school. And I think that high school should change in a way is that they should be able to spot students like that, and then just they don't like. You don't have to know everything. Like, let's say, for example, you got a student, right? That's like what I was. I was considered an at-risk student because I didn't care about, like, I would do good in economics and computer science. Everything else I get D's. So that's still, you know, if they average the grades out, like, come on, man, he's not going to do nothing, you know, but they couldn't see that the talents I had. So I think that the school should like focus more on, like, if you spot a student like that, pull them out, you know, and forget about everything else. English, math, all that other stuff can go away. Put them in what they're good at, you know, because you could risk losing a student otherwise. Because there was a lot of students I knew that were good at certain things, but because they were told they were, like, let's say I knew a guy that was only good at English. He was good at writing stories, but everything else he failed at, right? So all the school and everything would lower his self-esteem because he couldn't make good grades. He ended up dropping out and dealing drugs because of that, right? But if the school would have spotted him, pulled him out, and put him in all English classes, maybe he would be like a great writer right now.
Damn, he was like the Shakespeare. He was like this drug dealer with like a Shakespearean drug dealer.
I deal with that every year. I deal with that every year with students in my program and my broadcast journalism program, where they have IEPs. They've been told they had learning disabilities. They come to me, they end up going to college. That is so key of finding out what they're good at, what their interests are, and tailoring the education curriculum there. That is such a great point. I'm dealing with that right now with a student, literally right now.
Well, guys, great show, Tall Guy. Thank you, my brother. Continued success.
Tall Guy, thank you, bro.
Everybody, if you're not following Tall Guy, if you're not following Tall Guy on social media, go follow him now. A lot of people are, because when I posted that picture, people were like, oh, that's my dude. And so, yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. Continue success. Everybody have a blessed day. All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much. And Sandra, I'm calling you soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'll be calling you soon.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I swear to God.
Tonight, yes, and Sandra got a whole crew of people.
And I got a book for you, too.
Thank you. I can't wait to talk to you. Mark,
right,
I appreciate you, sir.
It's the Marc Clarke Morning Show. Healthy, wealthy, and wise.